Meeting of the Essex County Board of Chosen Freeholders is hereby called to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Freeholder Cooper, absent. Freeholder Johnson. Present. Freeholder Jones.
Present.
Freeholder Luciano.
Here.
Freeholder Mercado, absent. Freeholder Pomares, absent. Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Here.
Freeholder Seabold. Here. Freeholder President Gill.
Here. And as we please stand for the salute to the flag, I'm going to ask Freeholder Johnson to please lead us in the salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Could you please remain standing for a moment of silence? Thank you. I have before me certification from the clerk that this meeting is in compliance with the Open Public Meeting Act. Madam Clerk, are there any transcripts to be approved?
Mr. President, there are none.
Okay, Madam Clerk, are there any topics of discussion?
Mr. President, there are none.
Okay, let's move to the public comment session on agenda items. Tonight's meeting is a combined conference board meeting, and we will vote on every item on the agenda. So if there is any member of the public who would like to comment on any agenda item, please come to the microphone and state your name and affiliation for the record. You will have 3 minutes to speak. This is on agenda items. Okay, if there's any member of the public who would like to comment on any issue, please come to the microphone, state your name and affiliation for the record. Again, you will have 3 minutes to speak.
I'm Eric Lerner,
Squeeze
resident.
the handle and move up the mic. Squeeze the handle.
I'm Eric Lerner, resident of Warren. I've come to address, as we have come to this board several times, to address the issue of the contract with ICE to detain 700 to 800 immigrants without charge or trial. My question to you, to the chosen board of freeholders, is why are we forced to keep coming back here to deal with this question? Why have you not dealt with this question? Why have you not ended this contract? This contract is unconstitutional. It holds people who have no charge against them. There is no constitutional law that allows the holding of people without charge or trial. Why don't you end this contract? What are you afraid of? Is it Joe D? Is it Joe D. Vincenzo who you were afraid of? If so, I want you to consider maybe there's something else to be afraid of, which is an organized, growing mass movement in this county against this unconstitutional detention. In the last election, the Jobs and Equal Rights campaign ran on the key issue of this detention contract. Now you may feel, oh well, only 2.6% of the vote. But in the areas where we campaigned, there was as much as 10% of the vote in our favor. And these were areas with all sorts of ethnic backgrounds, African American, Latino, non-Latino. This is a growing movement. Think about what will happen in a year, in 2 years, in the next election and the election after that. Start thinking about what the consequences are if you ignore this movement. We ask that you respond here and now. Why are you not ending the ICE contract? Thank you.
Good evening.
The handle.
Oh, well, that's pretty good. Good evening. My name is Mary Rizzo. I am a resident of Newark, New Jersey, and a professor at Rutgers University here in Newark. I am here again to ask that you break the contract with ICE. And I thought, given the season that we're in, I would deliver my remarks in a form that was appropriate for this time of year. 'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse, until ICE officers burst in with bullets and guns. From baby to parents, they rounded up everyone. The leader yelled, "Bring your papers here." 6-year-old Gina cried, "But sir, I was born here." Papa stepped forward. "I have no papers for you." He had come on a student visa in 2002. He got married, paid taxes, provided for his kids, no different than his native-born neighbors did. "This is Trump's America," ICE told him and hauled him away. Gina sobbed, "Papa," and she cried Christmas Eve and day. Now he sits in Essex County Jail, no release date, not even bail. He wonders how this happened in a country he loves. He prays and cries to God above. This poem is not a joke or a fairy tale. It's the story of hundreds of men sitting in your jail. 40% have committed no crime. Still, they're deported, destroying their lives. Around the country, thousands more will miss Christmas this year. All so Trump can stoke racism, hatred, and fear. This isn't fiction, simply the facts. We demand in 2019 that you break this contract.
Hello, my name is Esteban Guevara. I am an immigrant. I want to ask you guys, how many more lives, how many more bodies do we must find behind this concentration camp? Because believe me, it is a concentration camp. I want you guys to think of the lives that are affected. I'm pretty sure most of you guys are opposed to Trump on many issues. Why not this? Right? Why not stand with the immigrant community? As I told you, as an immigrant and coming from this community, we are in fear. We are afraid to our core. Families, kids going to school, don't know when they come back if they are going to see their parents. Especially now on Christmas, when we know the ICE is ratcheting up the raids. They are more afraid whether their moms and the dads are not going to be there when they come from school. That's not fair. I wouldn't think none of you children, I wouldn't wish any of you children to have the same fear as they have. So why? Why keeping this concentration camp open? Knowingly that the conditions in there are deplorable. And as a registered nurse, I can tell you that they are deplorable. There are subhuman conditions in there. I have spoken with many of my brothers and sisters that are coming up from this detention center, and they're telling me that the food is horrible, the medical attention is worse than deplorable. If they have an issue, whether it's acute or chronic, it's not addressed. So please, in the time of Christmas, please consider to closing this detention center, this concentration camp, because there's nothing else that we can call it. Thank you.
My name is Jason Bohn. I'm from Stanhope, which is in Sussex County, but I'm a full-time student at Rutgers, Newark, where I'm studying to get my master's in American history. I'm not going to repeat any of the many things that have been said week in and week out here. I do want to say something that perhaps may make the people in this room think a little bit. I've been collecting all of the newspaper clippings, all of the public information related to these meetings that I can and I'm collecting them to create an archive. I will, at a certain time, give that archive to the Rutgers Newark experience at the Rutgers Dana Library. And in 15, 20, 30 years, Rutgers students who are majoring in history will write their capstone, and your capstone always has to be on Newark history. And quite frankly, topics run thin, but this is always a topic that is written about. And so your legacy in 25, 30, 40 years, when your children and grandchildren are older, it will be remembered. And unfortunately, as history goes, it will overshadow your obituaries. It'll overshadow what the community thinks of you, and it will be part of your legacy. And I think that's something just from human being to human being you should think about. Because when you read a history book, the people who are screaming angrily in the face of African Americans trying to gain equality are never viewed as the good guy. And the people who signed the 1892 Chinese Immigration Act, which banned Chinese from living or coming to this country, they're not viewed as good guys. No one raises their hand and says, where's the statue to that person in class? Everybody raises their hand and goes, how could that happen in America? So that's the legacy you're building for yourself.
Good evening. My name is Whitney Strube. I'm a Newark resident, and I'd like to give my final comments of the year, suggesting again that you break the contract with ICE, and I'd like to sort of review my experience of this year. I want to remind you that when the Star-Ledger supported your contract with ICE in a September editorial, it was specifically because they believed the blood money, and that is their phrasing, not ours, the blood money that you are taking from this contract should be committed to helping immigrants and detainees. To the best of my knowledge, you have committed none of the money toward that goal, and I think they're due for another op-ed reassessing. On October 20th, President Gill, you were quoted in Tap Into Soma, suggesting that you were considering holding a public hearing about the contract, and here's a quote from you. There's not a consensus that the county should get out of the contract at this point. Now, I've attended every single Freeholders meeting since July, and I believe that we have seen a consensus. This has been the #1 issue raised by citizens with no clear second issue in sight. There is no doubt this is the #1 issue at Freeholders meetings. Members of our coalition have been black, white, Latino and Latina, of Asian descent, US born and immigrant, spread across urban and suburban Essex County. We've had high school students, high school teachers, university professors, union members, working class people of various professions, mothers, fathers, grandparents. Busy people who took time out of their evenings to come here and urge you out of your collaboration because they are morally disgusted by our county colluding with ICE. Politically, you've had plenty of people from the left, the Green Party, the Democratic Socialists of America, Party for Socialism and Liberation, Jobs and Equal Rights for All, others I'm surely forgetting. You've had progressive organizations like Soma Action and Soma Caribbean. You've had immigrant rights groups like Cosecha. I believe the largest contingent are registered Democrats, including myself. I'm also a proud member of the DSA, the Democratic Socialists of America, but most of us are registered Democrats. We are your constituents. And you cannot deny that you've heard multiple people tell you that they're not that political, they've never spoken at governmental meetings in their lives before, but they oppose this contract, and they've been motivated to speak against it. Religiously, you've had Jews whose families fled anti-Semitism, Muslims, including a comrade from the Council on American Islamic Relations, a Baptist minister, a Catholic priest, atheists, a reverend and others from the Unitarian Universalist Faith Action, New Jersey. You've heard the mayor of Maplewood urge you to take us seriously. If you've forgotten Newark Mayor Baraka's words from September, he wrote in a Tap Into Newark op-ed specifically about your contract, quote, "In the age of Trump, that cooperation must end." And finally, I'm not sure what more you need to show consensus, but give us a metric. If you need a certain number of signatures on a petition, we will hit the ground and get them. Attorney General Grewal has shown us what resistance looks like in his Immigrant Trust Directive.
Time's up.
What you're showing us is collaboration, and in 2019, act like real Democrats, end the contract with ICE. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, folks. My name is Jack Martin. I'm a retired priest. I live in a residence in Essex, in Colwell, New Jersey. And I've been here to speak before, and I'm partly going to repeat what I said, but I'll keep it brief because we don't have a lot of time. I don't want to waste your time. I just want to remind you that, you know, I hear the talk about these terrible immigrants that are coming from Some people in high places keep saying that. And, it makes me want to cry because I had the privilege of living in a UN refugee camp in Central America for 3 years with people who fled the violence in El Salvador. And they told us, and if the truth is told, we know that one of the biggest reasons that they had to flee El Salvador was the U.S. foreign policy in El Salvador. They were running away from military who were armed with U.S. weapons. I saw that when I went and took some trips into the mountains of El Salvador, and you would see the bullets that had U.S. marking on it. So this is like a terrible thing to hear, the immigrants being spoken of as so often they are, and then to have them wind up like they're refugees, but in a refugee camp or a concentration camp right here in Newark, which has proclaimed itself the sanctuary city. So I think that the freeholders need to stand up and speak out, and in this hall of justice, be people who work for justice. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Chuck Carter. I'm an American Baptist minister. I'm a professor of religion at Seton Hall University, where I've taught for 25 years. I want to tell a story about the season. It's a story that, if you are familiar with the Gospel of Matthew, after the birth of Jesus, King Herod. Now, King Herod is an interesting person. He's a megalomaniac. He would kill anybody who he considered a threat to him. There was no length that he would not go to in order to oppress the people around him. And he heard the story about this baby named Jesus, and he sent his soldiers to the city of Bethlehem to murder every child, every male child under the age of 2. Mary and Joseph and Jesus escaped, and Jesus went on the run. Jesus was a refugee. Jesus went to Egypt, where he sought haven, and he was accepted. We don't know anything about what happened to him during that time, but you can certainly see the parallel between this man who is our president, who spews hatred and violence. We heard this morning a news report about a 6-year-old Honduran young girl who died in detention. She and her family had fled to America seeking refuge, and she died in detention. We heard just before we came here about a 6-month-old baby, I think, who has contracted pneumonia because of the conditions in the detention center that she is being held. We can stand on the side of light or the side of darkness. Whatever, if you have a religious background, Hanukkah, a celebration of eternal light, Kwanzaa, if you are a non-religious person, the solstice is coming, the darkest, longest night. We have a chance to be light in the face of darkness. Each one of you have the opportunity to end suffering and to end oppression. And in the spirit of the season, for the refugees, for those who are being oppressed, I ask you, I urge you, break the contract with ICE. Do not accept any more of the green money dripping with blood.
evening.
Squeeze the handle a little,
What do I have to do?
the handle, right
Hello?
underneath.
Good evening. I appreciate that. Thank you. My name is Laura Lomas. I'm also a resident of Newark in the North Ward, and I've been teaching at Rutgers University in Newark for the past 17 years. I teach in the field of Latino and Latina literature at Rutgers, and one of my students this semester prepared a documentary on the Central American migrant crisis. And in the documentary, he talked about the conflicting messages we've been receiving, sort of blaming the Democrats, and at the same time, Jeff Sessions implementing an ever more anti-immigrant policy that has led to an exponential increase of deportations. And that's on top of the fact that there were 3 million deportations under Obama. So this is a moment of crisis for my students. And in this documentary that my student prepared, he interviewed a little boy from Guatemala who had come seeking refuge, and he was put into what they call the cooler, the heladera. And he ended up being stuck in this freezing cold room from June until December. And I just found out tonight that that was his little brother. And he himself also is someone who came fleeing violence. And I have several students who are in the same situation. All of them, and this is supported by the work of Oscar Martinez. It's a great book. I recommend that every U.S. citizen read it. It's called The Beast, Riding the Rails and Dodging the Narcos on the Migrant Trails. Documents the heroic and epic efforts to survive on the part of migrants who are coming from Central America and are seeking refuge and really seeking the possibility of surviving, because they've been describing in their essays for me the fact that if you don't pay a quota to the drug cartels, and one of the important points that came out in the research we were doing is that most of those drug cartels are armed by U.S. arms industries, and that's just to echo what
30
the
seconds.
Baptist minister said, that is that the U.S. previously in the 80s armed to the tune of $1 million a day the Central American regimes that are now the most violent countries in the world. So I really don't want my Essex County to be permitting this unjust, unfair, inhumane violation of human rights, the detention of children, the detention of people who haven't committed any crime except the desire to survive. Thank you.
I just want to make a short presentation to tell you that I'm very
Your name for
appreciative.
the record, please.
My name is Charlotte Gallup from Irvington, New Jersey, Mama Meow Kit Kats. I am very pleased that so far we are making the first step for the community cats to be able to trap, neuter, manage, vaccinate, and return. I am so grateful to President Brendan Gill, who saw the procedure of the being able to do the positive changes that we need in Essex County, in every place in New Jersey. Working towards it now, and I would hope that with your support, we can be able to make a change for all our community cats that are dying, starving, and multiplying. I'll just end this with, one cat can multiply in 4 years, 20,000 cats. Don't think it's not happening in your town, in your city. It is. So I'm very pleased that 2019 will be ready to meow together. Thank you very much for your time.
Hello, my name is Carl Schwartz. I'm a resident of Newark, New Jersey for the past couple years. I've been to at least a dozen Freeholders meetings this past year. I'm probably a familiar face to a lot of people in this room. And I really don't have a lot of original things to add to the conversation. But I guess this past December, when I've been thinking about all of the holidays I've spent with my family, my dad's side of the family is Jewish, and my mom's side, they're Unitarian Universalists, so I got to experience the Jewish holidays and the Christian holidays growing up and how meaningful that was to me. And I'm thinking about the 700 to 800 people who are in the Essex County ICE Detention Center who will not get to experience the holidays, whatever that may be, even if they're non-religious and just taking off work. They won't get to be there for the kids, and just how many empty seats there will be at the dinner table on December 25th and many days onward, because somebody got arrested just for not having the proper paperwork, or because they were fleeing violence, or because their small family farm was destroyed by NAFTA or a United States trade deal. And I think we need to think about that, and I sincerely hope that all of the freeholders, while they're at home with their families during this holiday, they can at least take a little bit of time to reflect on that. And when we start the new year, they can maybe think about how we're going to end this contract together. Hopefully you guys will all have a moment of empathy during the holidays and just say, man, if one of my families was detained in this concentration camp in Newark, that would make me feel horrible. I also just want to say, we've been doing this. We've been coming to these meetings for at least like the past year. It feels like it's been a really long time. And this is part of the democratic process. Every single one of these meetings, I don't think I've ever seen somebody speak out in favor of ICE. I don't think there's a pro-ICE constituency in Essex County. And I did a lot of canvassing. I canvassed the Ironbound, downtown Newark, South Orange, Maplewood. Every single person I talked to on the street, most of them didn't know. And that's okay. There's a lot going on in the news. We can't follow everything. And when I shared information with random people on the street, and I said, did you know there's a 700-plus bed ICE detention center in Newark that the county profits off of? 90% of the people I talked to were horrified. They said, I did not know that. That's horrible. What can I do? And actually, I've been a political activist and canvasser my entire adult life. This was the easiest canvassing job I've ever done because it was so easy to get people interested in this. I've done canvassing jobs where people tell me, I don't care, leave me alone, that's not what I'm interested in. But this was a super easy canvassing job because people care about this issue and they're horrified by the family separations and the violence that ICE brings on to communities. And so I think that is your constituency. I mean, you have at least 30 people who have loyally shown up. There's a lot more. They're not politically engaged like some people in this crowd, but they care. And these are the people who have elected you, and you need to respond to them. Thank you.
Let Santa Claus go first. I don't think I need a introduction.
Name for the record, Flo, please. Name for the record.
Yes, Santa Claus. St. Nick, J Arena. I go by various names. I really didn't want to be here. As you would suspect, it's a pretty busy time of year up at the North Pole. But we had a general assembly. We had a popular assembly. We're run democratically. We had a popular revolution a few years back. And it was decided, I was elected as a delegate to come here to Essex County because this county in particular is making our job especially problematic, especially hard. First of all, to get here, right? Right here in Essex County with your 800-person ICE concentration camp is part of a larger deportation regime. And so your Border Patrol people are harassing myself and my fellow co-workers to do our work, right? And then especially right here in Essex County, it's especially difficult. We are supposed to bring joy during the Christmas season, but that's very difficult when you've got families that are being torn apart, children, mothers and fathers being dragged to your concentration camp for You're celebrating now with $3 million a month. You're rolling in the dough. You're celebrating, and yet you're carrying out this terror here in Essex County and throughout New Jersey. Syracuse University. You know, we do a lot of studying up at the North Pole. We did some research on we read the report by Syracuse University, which found that this county has one of the highest rates per capita of ICE, of the modern day slave catchers, as the mayor of this so-called sanctuary city called them, one of the highest rate of ICE arrests in the community. And in addition, it's one of the highest rates, and this is very important, of local authorities handing over mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters into the hands of ICE, into the dirty hands of ICE.
30 seconds.
So this is especially difficult. So you're going to, until you change this, you're going to be getting a lot of coal, and especially people like Mr. Luciano, who followed Joe D. Jr. and I guess works for the Department of Education. Look how he got that job. But before that, he was a teacher right here in the heavily immigrant North Ward, and he was the vice president of the Newark Teachers Union. What kind of union leader, what kind of trade unionist breaks up workers' families and drags them to a concentration camp for $3 million a month? What kind of teacher allows their children to be terrorized by this ICE concentration camp? You're going to get a lot of coal, and all the rest of you, until you end this bloody contract. And the big phony, Brendan Gill, on top of that, you get more than anyone.
Time's up. Okay, Madam Clerk, let the record reflect that there is no one more.
You squeeze the handle.
Hi, good evening. My name is Kevin Kanak. I'm resident of Rosso, New Jersey. I believe I've spoken in your presence before, Freeholders meeting, before I think it was at Irvington. I think I mentioned before how I am a teacher at Eastside High School, one of the schools with the largest immigrant population. This is definitely an issue that hits hard to home, not just because of where I work, but also my personal background as son of first-generation immigrants. I really just wanted to reiterate the same point I had made the first time I spoke in front of you, which I believe was just about how we are a nation of immigrants, right? We, you know, basically have the same struggle and the same fight. And I believe that, you know, I believe that of each of you, and I'm just hoping that you can prove it. I think everything everyone said has underscored that point, which is to say that you should be in our struggle, our fight to end the contract, to make sure that we are doing what our forefathers, our foremothers brought us here for, which is to say, to help each other, not to hurt or prosper from hurting, right? I mean, the history definitely underscores the point that we have profited from torture, we have profited from suffering, you know, whether it be the murdering or just the simple fact of detention, right? I mean, there's a lot of evidence to say that the detention conditions are a form of torture, and my point is just that we shouldn't be allowing that, right? I mean, whether the detention itself is unconstitutional because it's without charge, or again, it's torture. I just believe that we are better than that, and I would ask that you prove it as soon as possible by ending the contract. And then I'm sure, you know, you have your motivations for doing what you're doing, and I wouldn't question them. All I would say is to be aware of the potentially larger consequences, namely, you know, a lawsuit, right? Like, I'm not a lawyer, like I said, I'm a teacher, but I've heard of, there was a recent, you know, New York Times article talking something about, you know, $60 million lawsuit for the death of an immigrant in detention. I mean, I'm sure you make your money. I'm not saying, again, questioning that, but the point is, you know, I don't think it's worth a $60 million lawsuit, or any lawsuit, or
30
any
seconds.
type of, you know, bad press on your part, right? I mean, Clearly, this is an issue that, as previously stated, has so far flown under the radar. But, you know, people in this news media cycle, in the social media cycle, people will eventually catch on, right? People are eventually going to realize that this is something that has to be addressed. This is something that will be addressed, and the question is how, right? So clearly you guys are in the position of power to determine
Time's
exactly
up.
how it's addressed. So again, I hope that you address it in the right way, namely by breaking the contract. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Yael Weber. I'm an Essex County resident. I've been here before. I've been coming to these meetings for about 5 or 6 months protesting the ICE contract. But immigrant detention is not new. I am ashamed that I wasn't standing here before this board protesting this contract during the Obama administration. I will freely admit that I should have been aware of this issue sooner. I should have been protesting this issue since 2011 when the contract was first signed. It was controversial at the time. There were advocates speaking in opposition to it, but as something that didn't directly affect me, it was easy enough to ignore or not even be aware of. Signing the ICE contract in 2011 was wrong. It is still wrong. There is no moral basis for detaining people without charges, without trial, detaining people indefinitely. And it's worse now. It's worse because of the current racism and xenophobia that we are seeing at every level of government. And it's worse because of the climate, the anti-immigrant policies and fear that's being sowed throughout the country. And I can't change my past actions. You can't change having signed this contract in the past. What we can do and what we must do is to take the best route forward to minimize our complicity in this system, I'm sorry, please end the contract.
Squeeze
Hello.
it, squeeze it right underneath. Yeah, there you go.
Hello. Hi, my name is John Brickley. I'm a resident of Orange, New Jersey. I would just like to implore you to please end the contract with ICE. ICE is a terrible, inhumane organization. You know this, yet you continue to enable them. I would ask you to please stop enabling them and end the contract. If you end the contract, you won't have to sit here making sad politician face for 40 minutes a month. I don't know what to say. Like, you've heard all the stories. You know how terrible they are. Just please end the contract. There's no moral reason for you to not end the contract. End the contract. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jesse Rosso. I'm a member of the North New Jersey Democratic Socialists of America. I'm a resident of Hoboken, New Jersey. I'm a graduate of Seton Hall. I came here to support many of the people that spoke before me in ending this horrible contract with ICE. I actually have attended several Essex County meetings. I've been to Hudson County meetings, and I've also organized somewhat in Bergen County. There's definitely a movement that's happening, at least as far as I can see, in North Jersey and New York City, that's working in opposition to this contract. Especially around this holiday season, you know, we reflect on charity and goodwill, and you know, hearing in the news lately about, you know, a 7-year-old girl who died because she was, I guess, withheld like basic care of just dehydration of water. You know, we can't really change what's going on that side of the world. We can't change, in some ways we can't change. I believe that we can make a change, but we can make a change here. This is where we live. You know, we can't, you know, we're going through the democratic process. You know, we vote every election. Some of us knock on doors, you know, during the elections. And then we show up to these public meetings. But, you know, it seems like we're just, we just kick the can down the road and there's nothing, we have nothing to show for it. So what happens when a group of highly motivated people, you know, run down the line and find that the democratic process, you know, shows no results? You know, that's not somewhere we want to be as a society. We want the people to be heard when they speak, and we want our politicians to show that they're listening. You know, a lot of times when we speak to you, we don't really know if there's any impact of what we're saying. I mean, I'm grateful that the Essex County Freeholders at least made a symbolic gesture of condemning the representative director who's in charge of New Jersey's ICE. I mean, that's a step, but we have to make a more meaningful and impactful step to really show where our values are, you know, as a county, and to lead the way and make it so that other counties across the country use Essex County as an example. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Christopher Kanak. I live on Berkeley Avenue in Bloomfield, New Jersey. My normal speaking location tends to be the Newark School Board, but anytime we can put together a nice room full of people who need a talking to, I'm going to find my way there. And there are a number of people here who need a talking to. But before we do that, I'm going to read a portion of a resolution that was put out by the Newark Teachers Union on February 5th, 2018. The resolution reads as follows, and I am starting near the end. It says, whereas the Newark Teachers Union is an organization of education professionals founded on the principles of social justice and due process. Be it resolved, the Newark Teachers Union will contribute to the collection and creation of materials supporting a social justice-oriented classroom and teacher. Be it further resolved, the Newark Teachers Union will continue to support the implementation of curricular materials that focus on dismantling impositional structures created to disenfranchise oppressed groups. You guys are the curriculum. Let that sink in for a moment and realize what a disappointment those who maintain a contract they could sever. Think of what disappointments you are to those around you, to those you care about. As those you care about wake up to their Christmas tree, there are 800 people laying in a bed, if they're lucky. You have control over those people's lives because you don't treat them like people. You are the elected representation. You have the power to sever a contract. You are the very people we instruct on in our classrooms. What we believe needs to change. I sincerely hope that you can reflect on that. And if you need additional education, I'd offer you any social studies classroom in the city of Newark, to remind you how close this issue is to home, and to remind you that your pocketbook is not as important as humanity. Close the detention center. Close the concentration camp. Do right by our kids.
Hi, my name is Faye Letterman. I'm a resident of Montclair. So as the secular New Year, or the Christian New Year approaches, I'm thinking back over the last year and what's occurred at these freeholders meetings that I started attending in July. In August, one of the things that happened is that in August, a handful of colleagues and I met with Mr. Gill and the Vice President and the freeholders' lawyer to discuss our request that you terminate the contract. And the main reason given to us that you would not break the contract was that you feared, or more accurately, you said that you know for sure that ICE would move detainees to random places around the country and that they would be further away from their families. And I have to say that after that meeting, I started to question whether what we were doing was right. Perhaps that was actually the main reason that you didn't want to break the contract. And I know that organizations like First Friends have the same concern. But actually now, I would say within a few weeks after, I realized that was not the main reason. That was not really a valid argument. And that it actually is really about money. And my colleague, Yael, and I had a conversation with one freeholder who approached us in the hallway after a meeting. We were too late to speak before, and so we sat through and spoke at the end, and it was actually such a hidden blessing because we got to talk with a freeholder who shared off-the-record information with us, and it not breaking the contract, according to him, has nothing at all to do with the fear about detainees being moved around the country, and that's from your own colleague. So the year is almost out, and I have to say the highlight of all of the freeholders meetings for me since July was singing, because I think that we talk a lot, right? And it just becomes blah, 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 and it's sort of hard to take in more information. But I think we should sing Which Side Are You On? Because especially as the holidays are approaching, there is no neutrality. Which side are you on, folks? Which side are you on? Which side are you on, folks? Which side are you on? They say in Essex County there will no neutrals be. You'll either stand for freedom or be a thug for Joey D.
30
Which
seconds.
side are you on, folks? Which side are you on? Which side are you on, folks? Which side are you on?
Okay, Madam Clerk, let the record reflect that there's no one wishing to speak at this time. Madam Clerk, do we have any ordinances or resolutions for introduction and first reading?
Ho, ho, ho.
Mr. President, we have none.
Mr. President Gill, we need a response. I've got my reindeer outside. I cannot leave until we get a response. I've got to have a decision. When are you going to shut down this concentration camp? I can't go back to the North Pole. Christmas is going to be gone here in Essex County unless
Madam
we
Clerk.
get a commitment for ending the ice jam.
Madam Clerk, do we have any ordinances or resolutions for listing purposes only?
Mr. President, we have none.
Madam Clerk, do we have any ordinances or resolutions on second reading and public hearing tonight?
Mr. President, we have none.
Okay, Madam Clerk. Okay, Madam Clerk. What's that? What's that? We're going to reconvene. We're going to reopen the meeting. Before we reopen the meeting, I am going to ask that those who are in the audience, who are here to speak tonight, are respectful of this public meeting. There are additional agenda items that are on this agenda, that there are those in the public here with you who are here to hear. It is our responsibility to carry out this meeting and in the spirit of the season, which I heard a lot about tonight. I ask that you be respectful of those people besides you who are here for other issues that they may care about just as passionately as you do about the issue that you spoke about tonight, because that is the right thing to do as well. So with that, I'm going to call the roll. Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Cooper, absent. Freeholder Johnson.
Present.
Freeholder Jones.
Present.
Freeholder Luciano.
Here.
Freeholder Mercado, absent. Freeholder Pomares, absent. Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Here.
Freeholder Siebel.
Here.
Freeholder President Gill.
Here. Okay, Madam Clerk, the administration is asked we take Resolution 15 first. Therefore, to accommodate the request, we will go out of order. Please read Resolution number 15.
Resolution 15, Superintendent of Elections and Commissioner of Registration Contract Award with Royal Printing Service to provide printing of digitized poll books for 2019 and 2020, amount not to exceed $300,000.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. Jackson, can you please explain the resolution?
Mr. President, Ms. Patty Spangle, Deputy Superintendent, is here to address this item, as well as the vendor.
Thank you.
You just squeeze it.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I provided copies, if you wish to see them, with our scoring sheets as to why we decided to change our poll book printing company. We feel that I can just tell you if you want. I can pass it to you. Though we've had a cordial relationship with County Business Systems since 2015, there were certain issues we believe are related to being the responsible bidder continue to occur despite conversations regarding these issues we've had with county business. There is no or limited flexibility regarding pickup of our poll book data and delivery of the poll books. There's insufficient staff when delivering the poll books to our office. It's a one-man show, and he would actually call and ask for our staff to go down. All right. I'm going to give you the reasons why we picked Royal Printing Service. Their submission included references from other counties for whom they have printed poll books. They have more than 2 times the number of employees. They are local, Hudson County, and they're significantly more years in the printing business. Those are the reasons we chose Royal Printing.
Thank you. Is the vendor here? I'd like to call the vendor, please.
Hi, I'm Kevin Passante from Royal Printing.
Good evening. Can you tell us a little bit about this contract and your company?
Sure. Our company was founded in 1932. We are a union shop located in Hudson County, West New York. We have all on-site facility. In other words, we produce everything on-site with our staff of roughly 48 full-time employees. We've been in the election business since 1994. We currently have contracts with, I believe, up to 10 different counties in the state of New Jersey, which include 5 other counties that we print poll books for. So we feel that we're pretty experienced doing this type of thing. We have hands-on staff. We have drivers that come and deliver to your offices and whatnot. And we feel we have the experience to do this. You guys are located only 15 miles from our office, which anybody is welcome to come and view. If you'd like to come see our facility, we're more than welcome that to anyone. So.
Excellent. Mr. Parlavecchio.
Yes, as Ms. Spango indicated, the Office of Purchasing publicly advertised for requests for proposals for this in an open process. So this was evaluated through a defined process, and that's how the selection was made.
Okay. Freeholder Siebold.
You indicated that you have 48 people on your staff.
Correct.
And you handle a number of counties.
Yes.
How many counties do you handle?
We have contracts with 9 counties.
9 counties. So every election day, you must deal with 9 counties.
That's correct.
With 48 people, does that give you enough? Does that give you enough people to handle 9 counties all at the same time?
Absolutely.
So it won't be a problem for getting them to the Essex County polling places?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Election time, we operate 24 hours a day.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Freeholder Richardson.
Yeah, I know Royal very well. They print all my stuff. I recommend them all the time, and they will deliver. And their turnaround time is, you can't beat them. I mean, it's a very high quality shop. They do great work. So.
Thank you.
Freeholders. Additional questions or comments?
I'm sorry.
Freeholder Luciano.
Just through you, I'm not sure if I missed it. You guys are union? You use union?
We are a union.
Just wanted to make sure that I caught that. Union printing. Very good.
Thank you, Freeholder. Additional questions or comments? Just to say that, as mentioned by my colleagues, I am familiar with some of the work that Royal has done throughout the state. They have an excellent reputation in the other counties that they've worked in, and glad to see that they're going to be part of the Essex County family on this particular project. So,
thank you.
You're welcome. Do we have any additional comments or questions, Freeholders? Do I have a mover and a second?
I'll move it.
Moved by Vice President Richardson, second by Freeholder Siebold. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Siebold.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares, absent. Freeholder Mercado, absent. Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Jones.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper, absent. Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Madam Clerk, let's go back to resolution number 1, which has been withdrawn by the resolution, by the administration. Let's move to resolution 2 through 6, which are all advice and consent nominations for reappointment to the Essex County Veterans Advisory Board. Since they are all reappointments, we will take this as a collective vote and read them into a record at a later date. Freeholders, do we have any questions or comments? Freeholder Seabold?
I would just like to say that I think it's great that all of these people are willing to be reappointed. They do a terrific job, and I'm pleased they're willing to give their time and effort to help Essex County.
Freeholders, additional questions or comments? I agree with Freeholder Seabold. It's great to see this is an excellent board, a much-needed board on our Veterans Advisory Committee, and great to see that we're going to have continuity back and people willing to serve. So I want to publicly acknowledge and thank each and every one member of the Veterans Advisory Board who is going to serve the County of Essex. Freeholders, do I have a motion and a second to take Resolution 2 through 6?
I'll move it.
Thank you, Freeholder Seabold.
I'll second it.
Second by Freeholder Luciano. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Cooper, absent. Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Jones.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado, absent. Freeholder Pomares, absent. Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Seabold.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Very good. Thank you. Moving to Resolution number 7, Madam Clerk.
Resolution 7, Department of Administration and Finance, Office of Management and Budget Transfer Resolution.
Mr. Jackson?
Mr. President, Mr. Acker here is here to explain 7, 8, and 9.
Thank you, Robert. Good evening, Mark Acker, Director of the Department of
Mr. Acker,
Administration
could you
and
speak
Finance.
into the mic, please? Thank you.
The dollar amount of the transfer is a little over $990,000. It's primarily intended for our larger salaried departments, the jail, sheriff's office, parks, not only recognizing where we are in salaries, but we have to anticipate we have another payroll next week. And there are no other freeholder meetings between now and the end of the year. So, again, the majority of this $990,000 plus is going to salaries and wages. And we do have some other expense allocations that are being moved primarily to the legislation as far as vote by mail. Our election offices incurred additional costs as a result of that legislation that we weren't aware of at the time the budget was put together back in March.
Okay. Mr. Barlecchio?
Yes, I spoke with Frank McInerney prior to the meeting about this. He wanted me to convey that he did review this. I reviewed it with him. He didn't have any additional questions or concerns about this that he felt needed to be placed on the record.
Okay. Thank you, Freeholders. Do you have any questions or comments? Do we have a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Vice President Richardson.
I'll second it.
Second by Freeholder Luciano. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Seabold.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares, absent. Freeholder Mercado, absent. Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Jones.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper, absent. Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'm going to move to Resolution number 8 and read it into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson?
Mr. Acker? This is
8 and 9 deal with our annual contract, our annual pool contract for both our bond counsel and our financial advisors. Earlier in the fall, through purchasing, we did a request for qualifications. As it related to our bond counsel, we had 10 firms respond to the RFQ. We are recommending 9 of those firms be placed on our bond counsel pool. The one firm that is not being recommended is a non-Jersey based firm. They're out of Chicago and New York. The other 9 that we are recommending are all New Jersey office firms that the administration is completely familiar with, and that's the reason for the recommendation for those 9. On the financial advisor, we had 3 firms submit RFQs. Again, we are familiar with all 3. All 3 have been placed on our on the pool for financial advisors for 2019, which is in front of you. They would be Phoenix Advisors, NW Financial, and Acacia Financial Group.
Okay. Mr. Parlavecchio?
Yes, as Mr. Acker said, this is creating a pool for certain professionals that we use in financial agreements. You'll see later in the agenda under County Council that other attorneys and other professionals are selected in this way. This is a way of doing an open process, vetting these various lawyers and financial advisors, and creating the pool so that the county can act quickly when it's time to either respond to legal matters or catch the market at the right time for these financial, for the bonds. So it gives us some flexibility while also making sure we have properly vetted professionals.
Very good. Freeholders, questions or comments? Council, can we take 8 and 9 together?
Yes.
Through a motion?
Mr. President, should I read the Resolution 9 at the record at another time?
Let's read it in the record at a later time. Do I have a motion for resolution number 8 and 9?
I'll move it.
Moved by Freeholder Johnson.
Second.
Second by Vice President Richardson. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Cooper absent. Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Jones.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado absent. Freeholder Pomares absent. Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving to resolution number 10, we can read it into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Item 10, Mr. President?
Yes.
Yes, I can't talk tonight. Corporation Counsel Gassion is here to explain.
Understand.
Thank you. Good evening. Courtney Gassion, Essex County Council. Resolution number 10 is the amendment to our existing professional services agreement with the law firm of Chiesa, Shaninen, and John Tomasi for January 1st, 2018 through the end of this year, December 31st, 2018. This is an existing contract that we're just requesting an amendment to, increasing the amount of the contract from $25,000 to an amount of not to exceed $60,000. This is in connection with the redevelopment going on in this current complex, as well as the purchase of 2 new buildings by the county at 320 and 321 University Avenue. This firm is assisting us with the real estate transaction work, and additional funds were required in order to compensate them through the end of this year.
No additional questions.
Freeholders, additional questions or comments? Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Moved by Freeholder Siebel.
Second.
Second by Vice President Richardson. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares absent. Freeholder Mercado absent. Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Jones.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper absent. Freeholder President Gill.
Present, not voting. Moving to resolution number 11.
Fairly similar.
Sure. Sure, we can take 11 through 13. Madam Clerk, we can read it into the record at a later time. These are all, I believe, qualified lists. Mr. Jackson.
Ms. Gassion.
Thank you. Courtney Gassion, Essex County Council. Items 11 through 13 are items requesting the approval by the board for outside, for 11 legal counsel to provide legal services to the County of Essex using the RFQ process. This is the qualified list of our counsel that we request each November. Attached, you'll see to your packets, is the list of the 29 counsel that responded. This will allow the county the ability throughout the course of 2019 to utilize legal services through these firms on an as-needed basis. Would you like me to move to 12 and 13?
Number 12.
Item number 12 is also a request for an approval of a qualified list for licensed court reporters. This is also done through the RFQ process. We solicit qualification responses from qualified court reporters that are licensed in the state of New Jersey. There was one licensed reporting company that responded. They're located in Roseland, and they are included in your packet as well. The county counsel's office utilizes the, court transcription services for generally depositions or any other hearings where transcription services are necessary.
Okay.
And item number 13, again, utilizing the RFQ process, the county is seeking approval for the qualified list of licensed real estate appraisers that are able to render appraisal services to the County of Essex during the course of 2019. This is utilized for real estate transaction purposes when the county is in need of obtaining real estate appraisers. The county has attached for your reference the list of the qualified responding appraisers who have submitted through the RFQ process.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Parlavecchio?
No further comments.
Freeholders? Questions or comments? Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
This is Madam Clerk to take resolution 11, 12, and 13. We can read in the record at a later time. Moved by Freeholder Siebold. Do I have a second? Second by Freeholder Luciano. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Cooper, absent. Freeholder Johnson?
Yes.
Freeholder Jones? Freeholder Jones?
Yes. Yes.
Freeholder Luciano?
Yes.
No.
Freeholder Mercado? Absent. Freeholder Pomares? Absent. Freeholder Vice President Richardson?
Yes.
Freeholder Siebold?
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill?
Yes.
So moved.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Resolution 14 has been withdrawn by the administration. Resolution 16, we can lead it into a record at a later time. Mr. Jackson?
Mr. President, Mr. Ortiz and the Director Ortiz and the vendor are here.
Thank you.
Good evening. Alfaro Ortiz, Director, Essex County Correctional Facility. I'm here to advocate for the passage of this agenda item involving Ironbound Medical. They provide our pre-employment physicals for our officers that we're about to hire. And I have here the Marketing Director, Ms. Jill Bosanic, who can explain further as to what they do for us.
Jill Busanik from Ironbound Medical Services. We are located in the Ironbound section on Chestnut Street. We provide pre-employment physicals for Essex County Corrections, as well as many of the businesses in Newark and the surrounding areas. Dr. Mastillo is the medical director, and he specializes in occupational health. So the physical exams that we conduct for Essex County Corrections, as well as several other law enforcement groups, are compliant with the Police Training Commission's guidelines for pre-employment candidates for corrections and the police department. Do you have any questions for me?
Thank you. Mr. Parlavecchio?
No questions.
Thank you.
Freeholders? Questions or comments? Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Moved by Freeholder Johnson.
Second.
Second by Vice President Richardson. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Siebold?
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson?
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares, absent. Freeholder Mercado, absent. Freeholder Luciano, absent. Freeholder Jones?
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson?
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper, absent. Freeholder President Gill?
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving to Resolution 17, we can read it into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Mr. President, Deputy County Administrator Coltre is here to address.
Good evening, Mr. President. We went out to bid, we received 2 bids out of 16 potential vendors. The lowest responsible bidder was WB Mason. Amount not to exceed is $92,600. They are supplying water to the correctional facility at various gallons of water and other types of filter, et cetera.
Thank you. Mr. Parlavecchio.
No questions.
Freeholders, additional questions or comments? Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Vice President Richardson.
Second.
Second by Vice President, second by Freeholder Johnson. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Cooper, absent. Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Jones.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano, absent. Freeholder Mercado, absent. Freeholder Pomares, absent. Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving to resolution number 18. We can read into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Mr. Coltrane.
Mr. President, we went out to bid. We received one bid from WB Mason for all of our office supplies, including what we use here today. The amount is $3,500,000. Last year, we spent approximately $3 million in all of our office supplies throughout the county. WB Mason is here to explain. Phil Natal, vendor.
Good evening. My name is Phil Natal. I work for WB Mason. We currently employ 35% Essex County workers, and we are the winners of the office supply bid.
Thank you, Mr. Parlavecchio.
Okay, and Mr. Coltrane, this is a two-year contract, two-year
Yes.
agreement?
And they also give us a 5.4% discount on the products.
Thank you.
Freeholders? There's no questions or comments? This is an through you, Mr. Jackson, this was a two-year extension?
This was a new bid.
It was a new bid.
New bid. Oh, the previous contract, I'm sorry,
Mhm.
okay. And what open-ended, has there been an average spent against that?
Well, in the last 2 years, we spent approximately $3 million.
Okay, so it's pretty close to,
Yes.
okay. Good number. And they were the only ones to?
Yes, Mr.
Okay.
Mr. President.
Okay, the 29 reviewed through the portal.
29 vendors viewed the proposals, 26 downloaded from the portal, and we only received one bidder.
Okay. Thank you. Freeholders, additional questions or comments? Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Vice President Richardson. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Freeholder Johnson. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares, absent. Freeholder Mercado, absent. Freeholder Luciano, absent. Freeholder Jones.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper, absent. Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam
Thank
Clerk.
you.
Thank you. Moving to resolution number 19, which we can read into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Mr. Zates.
Joshua Zates, Essex County Parks. Number 19 is an ordinance that is actually ties into number 20. It's a mechanism to allow for the Open Space Trust Fund to fund staffing for 2019.
Let's take resolution also, then number 20. We'll read it into the record at a later time.
Sure. Joshua Zates, Essex County Parks. Through you, Mr. President. Number 20 is our staffing out of the Open Space Trust Fund for 2019. Just to break it down for the freeholders, the salary and wages is for 44 filled positions. It's for $2,358,984. There's $500,000 overtime, and the fringe is $1,372,312 for a total of $4,231,297, and that is a slight increase from 2018. It's up about 27,000.
Mr. Parlavecchio.
As to number 19, it's just important to recognize that this is a resolution the board considers once a year, and it allows the board to maintain some budgetary control over the use of open space for to supplement the Parks Department budget. and the board has the ability to grant a waiver, which it does every year in recognition of the expansion of the Parks Department and the facilities over the course of years. Originally, when the Open Space Trust Fund was established in the county, this was only allowed if the Parks Department budget was maintained at 1998 levels. Now, the Parks Department is a lot different than it was 20 years ago, so the board, in maintaining control, does review this, but routinely does grant a waiver to those 1998 level references.
Okay. Freeholder Seabold.
Thank you. This was discussed and approved by the Open Space Trust Fund, and it's my understanding that Frank McInerney was consulted regarding this. Is that correct?
Oh, yes, yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Okay. Additional questions or comments? Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Moved by Freeholder Seabold.
This is 19
I'm
and
sorry,
20.
we're going to take 19 and 20 together.
Yes.
Do I have the same mover for
Yes.
20? Moved by Freeholder Seabold. Do I have a second by Freeholder Johnson. Roll call, Madam Clerk, on resolutions 19 and 20.
Freeholder Cooper, absent. Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Jones.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano, absent. Freeholder Mercado, absent. Freeholder Pomares, absent. Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Seabold.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving to Resolution 21, which we can read into the record at a later time. Mr. Bates.
Joshua Zates, Essex County Parks. Number 21 is also allocation from the Open Space Trust Fund. It's for $150,000, which would be for various parks improvements throughout 2019. Some of the anticipated improvements would include some roofing repairs, fencing to some of our maintenance buildings, and just overall repairs as they come up throughout the year.
Thank you, Mr. Parlavecchio.
No additional questions.
Freeholders? Did these come, through you, Mr. Jackson, did these come did these come back to the board? Or once these are,
I'm not sure.
these capital
Joshua Zates, Essex County Parks. For instance, if, just hypothetically, if there was a ball field that we needed new turf, if that's already under contract, this would be the funding mechanism for that. If it's something new, a new project, say various roofs, that we would have to come to the board for approval, then we would come with the contractor, and then this would be the funding mechanism for that.
Okay. Freeholders? Additional questions or comments? Do I have a mover?
I'll move it.
Moved by Freeholder Seabold. Second by Freeholder Johnson. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Seabold.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares, absent. Freeholder Mercado, absent. Freeholder Luciano, absent. Freeholder Jones.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper, absent. Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving to Resolution 22, which we will read into the record at a later time.
Joshua Zates, Essex County Parks. Number 22 is just a bit of housekeeping. If the board recalls, at a previous meeting, they approved the insertion of $4 million from the Department of Community Affairs for the ADA accessible playground at Watsessing Park, and this is a resolution that we need signed in order to move forward with that grant.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Parlavecchio?
No questions.
Freeholders? This is for the contract we already approved. It's just housekeeping.
Yeah, it's for the funds have already been inserted. This is just an additional item that the state needs, and as you'll see later later in the agenda, we'll be drawn down on some of those funds for one of the projects.
Right, okay. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Moved by Freeholder Seabold. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Vice President Richardson. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Cooper, absent. Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Jones.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano, absent. Freeholder Mercado, absent. Freeholder Pomares, absent. Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving to Resolution 23, can read into the record at a later time.
Sure. Joshua Zates, Essex County Parks. Number 23 is actually the funding mechanism for number 24. It is a grant from the Vocational Technical School, and it's going to be for the West Side Park baseball field improvements.
Okay, let's move to Resolution 24. We'll read into the record at a later time.
Sure. Joshua Zates, Essex County Parks. Again, this is the West Side Park baseball field improvements. It'll consist of the replacement of 1,700 linear feet of 6-inch height chain fence. There'll be some backstop chain link fence, replace the existing turf with a new synthetic turf, baseball field accessories, and so on, dugouts, benches, scoreboard, miscellaneous items such as drinking fountains. There will be an upgrade to the sports lighting system, exterior painting of the comfort station, and some general tree trimming and topsoil.
Okay, Mr. Prolavecchio.
Is the vendor here, Josh?
David Antonio, Department of Public Works. The vendor, David Livingston, has appeared before this board in the past various times. Unfortunately, today he wasn't able to make it. There was an unforeseen emergency, and we do apologize for that.
He's been before the board. Can you refresh our memory what he's been before the board on?
Yeah, I'm off the top of my head. I know he's appeared. Landtech is probably, they did the work over in Riverfront Park in Newark most recently. That was just completed. Landtech has done Cedar Grove as well, the athletic park there. I would definitely provide you that information if you wish in more complete detail.
Okay. Freeholders? Freeholder Siebold?
I think it's important to mention that the Essex County Vocational Schools will be using this ball field. They're providing the money, is that correct, Josh?
Joshua Zates, Essex County Parks. To you, Mr. President, that is correct.
Thank you.
Freeholders, additional questions or comments? Do you have a mover for resolutions 23 and 24? Freeholder Siebold?
I move.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have Vice President Richardson as second on resolution 23 and 24. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Kamara is absent. Freeholder Mercado absent. Freeholder Luciano absent. Freeholder Jones.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson. Yes. Freeholder Cooper absent. Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving to resolution number 25. We can read it into the record at a later time.
Excuse me. Since Josh is standing here, can we move to 34, which is he's responsible for?
No objection.
Thank you.
Let's move then to resolution 34, which is also in Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs. We'll read the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson, Mr. Zates.
Joshua Zates, Essex County Parks. Thank you for moving number 34 up. I appreciate it. Number 34.
It's that time of year.
Just remember me, Josh. Just remember me.
I'll never forget you, Freeholder Siebel. Number 34 is for the HVAC system maintenance over at the Turtleback Zoo. This is exclusively for facilities at the zoo, and we do have the vendor here if the board has any questions.
Hello, Mark Addis, Air Systems Maintenance.
Can you tell us a little bit about your company and the contract?
Sure. We're located at 718 Jefferson Avenue, Kenilworth, New Jersey. We've been in the business for 34 years. We service many Essex County buildings currently. We have 40 employees. 7 of them are from Essex County. We have 3 minorities. We are a union shop. We're a small business enterprise. Yeah, we do several, we take care of this building for several years and any other buildings in the area for Essex County. I'm the sales manager. I don't know every detail about everything that's going on here, but we do, you know, a lot of buildings here.
Mr. Parlavecchio,
No additional questions.
freeholders? Questions or comments? Motion?
I'll move it.
Moved by Freeholder Siebel,
Second.
second by Vice President Richardson. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares absent. Freeholder Mercado absent. Freeholder Luciano absent. Freeholder Jones.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper absent. Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving to resolution number 25, read into record at a later time, Department of Public Works. Mr. Jackson.
Mr. Antonio.
David Antonio, Department of Public Works. Resolution number 25 is for professional services to provide engineering, design, and construction inspection services for Essex County bridges and culverts, engineering construction support for the Center Street Bridge Replacement Project to KS Engineers in an amount not to exceed $51,000. Center Street Bridge will be opening to roadway traffic in a few days. However, the project itself will not be complete till the spring. This contract to KS Engineers will allow us to fulfill lab testing, material testing, certifications, and even once the bridge is complete in the spring, there's still a tremendous amount of paperwork and certifications that must be completed by an engineering company to satisfy the NJDOT.
Thank you. Mr. Parlavecchio.
No questions.
Freeholders. Questions, comments? Do I have a mover and a second?
Move it.
Moved by Vice President Richardson,
Second.
second by Freeholder Johnson. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Cooper absent. Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Jones.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano absent. Freeholder Mercado absent. Freeholder Pomares absent. Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving to resolution number 26. Actually going to ask you, could you please read this? Resolution 26.
Resolution 26, Department of Public Works, Division of Engineering. Resolution consenting the Township of West Orange Ordinance Number 2553-18, amending the school speed limit 25-mile-per-hour zone along Pleasant Valley Way, County Road 636, within the vicinity of West Orange High School, Kelly Pleasantdale Elementary School, West Orange, New Jersey.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. Jackson.
Mr. Antonio.
David Antonio, Department of Public Works. This resolution consents to the ordinance adopted by the Township of West Orange, which will reduce the speed limit in the vicinity of the Kelly School on Pleasant Valley Way to 25 miles an hour.
Excellent. Freeholders. Do I have a mover and a second?
I'll move it.
Moved by Freeholder Johnson,
Second.
second by Vice President Richardson. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares absent. Freeholder Mercado absent. Freeholder Luciano absent. Freeholder Jones.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper absent. Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
You know what, we're going to move to, we'll stay with Public Works, and we're going to move to resolution number 32. Read it into the record at a later time. Mr.
Mr.
Jackson.
Antonio.
David Antonio, Department of Public Works. This contract award to Sugar Property Services, the lowest responsive and responsible bidder for the construction of a new community center at Watsessing Park. This contract shall not exceed $1,982,000. I'm sorry, $1,982,580. Some of the work will include the demolition of the existing building, construction of a new building, including a 21 by 28-foot canopy. The building will include a party room, a kitchen, storage and utility areas, vestibules, and proper men's and women's separate toilets. There will be a new, there'll be a reconstruction of the parking area, which will include handicap parking spaces, 24 new parking spaces, pretty much major site renovations and things of that sort. But I do have Clarence here from the Sugar Group to introduce himself and perhaps more details of the project itself.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Clarence Nathaniel Skynes III, Construction Project Manager at the Sugar Group. We've had the liberty and opportunity to be working with the County of Essex for my 10-year duration at the Sugar Group, and from that covers landscape, construction, snow removal services on municipal projects, and requests for quotation, public bidding as well. This project in particular, it is the community center itself. There's also some site improvements there, everything from walkways to paths and crosswalks. That includes lighting and electric and utility improvements as well in the facility. Also some retaining walls and the traditional site furnishings, trash receptacles, and park benches and so forth.
Thank you. Mr. Barlavecchio?
Yes, thank you. My question goes to the administration. I see in the certification of funds that the funding source of this is from a grant. Is this the DCA grant that we discussed earlier? The $4 million grant earlier in the agenda?
Yes, yes, it was.
It comes from there. Thank you.
Okay, Freeholder Siebel?
Thank you. I'm very pleased that we're going to have a new community center at Watsessing Park, because Watsessing Park is getting better and better every day, and I know you will do a terrific job.
Thank you.
Okay, Freeholders, additional questions or comments?
I'll move it.
Moved by Freeholder Siebel. Do I have a second? Second by Freeholder Johnson. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Cooper, absent. Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Jones.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano, absent. Freeholder Porcardo, absent. Freeholder Pomares, absent. Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Moving to resolution number 33.
Mr. Antonio.
David Antonio, Department of Public Works. Resolution number 33, professional services to provide architectural design for space management at various Essex County facilities, ACOM, not to exceed $650,000. The county will soon be in possession of 320 and 321 University Avenue. Those buildings were previously used as call centers for national financial companies. It's been sat empty for a couple of years. However, the building is new, but its layout, the way it's set up, is not the most conducive to a true public building to carry out public service like the county requires. So we have brought a company, ACOM, to help us design the new interior layout. ACOM has sent 2 representatives today to introduce themselves, introduce you to the project, and I'll hand it off.
Good evening. My name is Kim Verheilig. I'm the managing principal of AECOM, New Jersey. For the purposes of, we are an architecture, engineering, full-service design firm. For the purposes of this contract, the work will be conducted out of our Clifton, New Jersey office. Within AECOM, we have approximately 300 employees based in New Jersey. Of them, approximately 20% are Essex County residents. I'm joined today with Jim Sanders, who will be serving as project manager on this project.
Freeholders?
Questions? Yes.
Freeholder Siebel?
What are the addresses of these buildings?
320 and 321 University Avenue.
And what are they going to be used for?
They will be used for our DFAB division, Division of Family and Benefits.
Thank you. We own the buildings?
Not as yet. We have a contract and we anticipate closing early in 2019.
So the county will own the buildings?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Mr. Parlavecchio?
No questions.
Freeholders, additional questions or comments? Have a motion?
I'll move it.
Moved by Freeholder Siebel,
Second.
second by Vice President Richardson. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares, absent. Freeholder Mercado, absent. Freeholder Luciano, absent. Freeholder Jones.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper, absent. Freeholder President Gill.
Present, not voting.
So moved.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving back to Resolution 27.
We didn't do 26.
Did we do 26? We did 26.
Yes.
We did 26?
Yeah, we did 26.
Yes.
Did I vote? Yes?
You're right.
You voted it, you voted yes.
Thank you.
Okay, no problem. 27?
Yes.
Mr. Coltrane.
We
Mr.
didn't
President,
record it a later time. Thank you.
We went out to bid for installing vehicle equipment and graphics for various law enforcement and other vehicles throughout the county. We had one bidder, and it's a veteran-owned business. Last year, we spent $68,400, and this is not to exceed $100,000.
Okay. Mr. Parlavecchio?
No questions.
Freeholders? Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Freeholder Johnson, second by Vice President Richardson. Is that Mr. Vice President? You okay on a second?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Cooper, absent. Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Jones.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano, absent. Freeholder Mercado, absent. Freeholder Pomares, absent. Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving to Resolution number 28. Read it into the record at a later time.
Mr. Coltrane. Mr. President, we're here again for our omnibus, which runs from January 1st, 2019 to June 30th, 2019. We come back twice a year for this. In 2017, we spent $4.7 million. This year, we're asking for this 6-month period, $5,630,000. What we do with the funds at that particular time are pay our utilities, pay our phone bills, so we don't always have to come back to the board at that particular time. We also pay state contracts. If they exceed $100,000, that we come back to the board as required if we're buying off a state contract or a co-op.
Okay. Mr. Parlavecchio?
No questions.
Freeholders? This is how we've been doing this. Works well.
Yes, Mr. President.
Good system. Freeholders, additional questions or comments? I have a mover.
Move it.
Moved by Vice President Richardson. Second by Freeholder Johnson. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Cooper, absent. Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Jones.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano, absent. Freeholder Mercado, absent. Freeholder Pomares, absent. Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving to Resolution 29. Leaving to the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Mr. Goldtree.
Mr. President, we went out to bid to furnish and deliver clothing supplies for various agencies, Department of Corrections, Hospital Center, et cetera. We have received 9 vendors to supply various ancillary things such as clothing, shoes, toothpaste, and other ancillary items that we use at the various facilities.
Thank you, Mr. Parlavecchio.
No questions.
Freeholders? Questions or comments? Have a mover and a second? Moved by Vice President Johnson. Excuse me, Freeholder Johnson. Long day. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Vice President Richardson. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Sebol?
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson?
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares, absent. Freeholder Mercado, absent. Freeholder Luciano, absent. Freeholder Jones?
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson?
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper, absent. Freeholder President Gill?
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving to Resolution Number 30, remitted to the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Ms. Gassion.
Good evening, Courtney Gassion, Essex County Council. Resolution number 30 is a request for an approval of a lease agreement between Essex County College and Essex County for the use of the Essex County Public Safety Academy, which is located in Cedar Grove. It's approximately a 28,678 square foot building and approximately 5 acres of property. It's currently being operated by Essex County College. The county has the intention to negotiate the purchase of the Public Safety Academy sometime in 2019. During that interim time period, the county wishes to lease the space until that purchase is completed. The lease that we've attached for your review is for a 6-month period beginning January 1, 2019 through June 30th, 2019, with 2 60-day extension options. The county will pay $5 per month for the lease of this facility, plus the county will be responsible for all operating expenses during the lease period. I also have our new director of the Public Safety Academy, Anthony Perillo, here if you have any questions with regard to operations.
Thank you. Mr. Parlavecchio?
I don't have I don't think it's an operations question. So for the academy use, it's been owned and operated by the college. The county has not had or has the county had any interest in that?
We have not operated the academy for many years. It has been operated by the college exclusively. Certainly our recruits, both out of corrections and the sheriff's department, have gone through the academy, but we have not operated the facility.
Thank you.
Okay. Freeholders? Additional questions or comments? Do I have a mover and a second?
I'll move it.
Moved by Freeholder Sebol.
Second.
Second by Vice President Richardson. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Sebol?
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson?
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares, absent. Freeholder Mercado, absent. Freeholder Luciano, absent. Freeholder Jones?
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson?
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper, absent. Freeholder President Gill?
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. 30, resolution number 31 has been withdrawn by the administration. We have covered resolution 32, 33, and 34. Moving to resolution 35, which we can read into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Mr. President, Director Del Glodio and the vendor are here, I think.
Frank Delgadio, Director, Essex County Hospital Center. Resolution 35 is it was a response to a competitive contract that we came before the board, I believe back in June, and we had 2 vendors provide proposals on this. And the vendor is here tonight to explain the services. This is for Joint Commission Consulting Services. Every 3 years, we have a survey. The surveys are extremely rigorous. This year, they're going to be accompanied by the federal government on our survey, Centers for Medicare and Medicaid. The reason we need this accreditation is for reimbursement of our Medicare and Medicaid billing that we do. There's hundreds of standards, and the role of this consultant is to do tracer methodology, where we trace a patient through the hospital on any given day or service, chart audits, education and training to our staff. And over the first year of the contract is about 70 days. And the follow-up, the 2 years, are 1 day per month. So it would be a total of 12 days on the years that we are not surveyed.
Thank you. Mr. Parlavecchio?
No questions.
Freeholders? Board like to hear from the vendor?
Folks, my name is Peter Pastris. I'm a senior partner with Clinical Services Management. We're a New Jersey-based organization that has been in business for about 22 years. This project is kind of an echo. We worked with Essex County in 2013, assisting them in preparing for their survey, or actually remediating parts of the survey that was done at that time. We have a lead staff member who's an Essex County citizen, who's going to be project managing this project for us. Our company is about 20 folks, 8 full-time, 12 or so of consulting staff, and they are across a wide range of disciplines, from psychiatry to psychology, social work, maintenance, facilities. As Frank was saying, the process of going through reaching regulatory compliance is one that's complicated, and there are hundreds of standards that need to be met, and those are essential for the achievement of compliance and the ability to bill Medicaid and Medicare.
Thank you. Freeholders? Mr. Parlavecchio?
No additional questions.
Do you have a mover?
I'll move.
Moved by Freeholder Johnson. Do you have a second?
Second.
Second by Vice President Richardson. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Cooper, absent Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Jones.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano, absent. Freeholder Mercado, absent. Freeholder Palmares, absent. Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving to resolution number 36. Read into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Mr. President, we received a late notice from the state regarding a grant that we received. We just received notice, and this is a late budget insertion, an amount of $91,140. This will provide for and support the Essex County Division of Community Action Tenant Resource Center in order to provide tenants and landlords of the county with information and resources on fair housing rights and responsibilities, as well as truth in renting as it's enforced under the law in the state of New Jersey.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Mr. Parlavecchio.
No questions.
Freeholders. Questions or comments? Do I have a mover and a second?
I'll move.
Moved by Freeholder Johnson.
Second.
Second by Vice President Richardson. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Siebel. Yes. Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Palmares, absent. Freeholder Mercado, absent. Freeholder Luciano, absent. Freeholder Jones.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper, absent. Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving to resolution number 37. which establishes the time and place for the reorganization meeting. For the,
Would you like me to read that one?
please, thank you.
Resolution 37, resolution establishing the time and place for the reorganizational meeting of the Essex County Board of Chosen Freeholders. Mr. President, I believe our council will explain.
Mr. Parlavecchio?
This is an easy one. The code requires us in December to pass a resolution setting forth the time and date of the reorganization meeting in January.
Which will be?
The date is January 9th
Okay.
at 7 p.m.
7 p.m. Okay, very good. Do I have a mover?
Move it.
Moved by Vice President Richardson.
Second.
Second by Freeholder Johnson. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Cooper, absent. Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Jones.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano, absent. Freeholder Mercado, absent. Freeholder Pomares, absent. Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving to resolutions 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, which we can read into the record at a later time. They are all commendations. Do I have a mover and a second? Moved by Freeholder Siebold.
I'll second.
Second by Freeholder Johnson. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares, absent. Freeholder Mercado, absent. Freeholder Luciano, absent. Freeholder Jones.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper, absent. Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay. Thank you. Do we have new business? Oops, excuse me. Reports of boards and committees. Legislative reports. Written communication. Unfinished business. New business. Public comment.
Hi, good evening. My name is Lerner of Newark, New Jersey. I would like to comment on a few things here. The first point I would like to mention is the water crisis in Newark. And everybody's been reading about it. It's all over the internet and the newspapers. I will come to the point. I'm going to ask that the Board of Trustees pay close attention to it because they don't want a situation like Flint, Michigan, and we do want Newark and its water to be safe. So, just to make a point for those of us who don't have filters and who are not exactly rich, so to speak, we would like to make sure that the safety of the denizens of Newark and some of our other towns that get their water from the two water sources that Newark does is a prime concern. That's point number one. Point number two I would like to ask is, I've been listening here, hearing about the Public Safety Academy and all the stuff that's connected to it. Okay, fine. I've seen over the years a lot of people leave Essex County College, and they have what you call a fiscal exigency. Well, maybe it's just me, but when you have a fiscal exigency, you don't hire people at high salaries like $90,000 and things like that. Exigency means that you're trying to save money, and that means that you gotta do what you gotta do. Now, if people gotta leave, I just would like to have seen them showing some respect, like giving some sort of a certificate or plaque you and a thank you for their long years of service, because I have seen things come and go at ECC. And back in the day when I was a student back in the 90s, that's how it went. Someone left, they gave him a certificate, a thank you before the Board of Trustees. Now I don't see that. It's just a question of appreciation of people. That's just me, okay? But that's what I'm thinking. And the other thing, before I completely forget, I would ask you to use your influence to get the Essex County College to do what's needed to get their 50th year anniversary plastered all over the place, because that would mean a new recruitment of students. I mean, I come from Bloomfield College, We just celebrated our 150th anniversary. We got a plaza all over the place. We got banners in the streets. We had the whole plaque. And this is the result. We got more students. What has ECC done to do something similar? That's my question. You want good stuff, you gotta work for it. But that's just me. Thank you.
Oh, time's up. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay, if there's no one wishing to speak at this time, Madam Clerk, let the record reflect and indicate that there is no one wishing to speak at this time. Freeholder comment session. Freeholders, do we have any comments you would like to make? Okay, we're just wishing everyone a healthy and happy New Year, healthy and happy holiday season, Merry Christmas. Are you, oh, I thought you were preventing me from moving to the next agenda item.
No, not at all.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Move it.
I'm encouraging.
Meeting adjourned. I'll take it.